Hello, my name is Manuel Soto, and the topic that I chose for this project were the dangers of pesticides and all the health complications that it can lead to. I chose this topic because pesticides have been becoming more and more popular in the last few decades, and coming from the Central Valley, we are surrounded by pesticides every day. What is a pesticide? A pesticide is anything that either controls, kills, or repels certain animals, insects, or plants that are known to be pests. Pesticide is actually an umbrella term that includes herbicides, which are used for killing weeds and other unwelcomed vegetation. Next is insecticides. They are to prevent insects from damaging the sprayed areas. Then there is fungicides. They aim to stop mold from forming. Then the disinfectants, which are used to counteract bacteria spreading. And lastly, compounds, to discourage mice and rats from causing damage. Every day, people are vulnerable to the harms of pesticides since they are used for everyone's diets. Some studies have shown that it is in fact children at the highest risk from having issues with pesticides, specifically with a child's neurological development. The routine use of pesticides is all around us, at our homes, in the hospitals, at schools, and at our workplaces. Ingredients are never specifically listed. For that reason, the consumer has no idea what those inert ingredients are because the companies are not forced to tell anyone. That changes when an EPA administrator deems an inert ingredient as a public safety issue. Some of the issues that pesticides can lead to are asthma, birth defects, bladder cancer, birth weight, and diabetes. For asthma, I looked at an article written by Nora Anita Schwartz and some of her colleagues. The results collected from this study were gathered from a rural community located in Tulare County. This community was selected due to its high percentage rate of schools that were exposed to pesticides. The researchers of the study also noted that asthma in the Central Valley had been predominantly an issue within the Mexican community, these issues being relatively new. Some even reported that they started to experience asthma once they moved to that location. For research about birth defects, I used Wei Yang's research. It was conducted by establishing a timeline from 1 month before the women were pregnant till 2 months after giving birth. They were able to take note of which pesticides were used in the area by utilizing the recordings from the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, which are required from the applicators in the county that submit what was used for spraying. The investigation does show a stronger association with trifluorine, and a herbicide, in female infants with cleft lip palate. Also reinforced the findings of neural tube defects with methylmyl present during pregnancy. The research about bladder cancer was from Stella Koutros' research. She looked into imidazoline herbicides and their possible association with bladder cancer. The two herbicides that were examined were imizacoine and imazethropin. Long-term use of imazaquine did appear to have an association with bladder cancer, and the most profound finding was the strongest of associations was with those that had never smoked and all types of herbicides that they had examined. Information about birth weight was obtained using Flora Mayhew's research. The research was conducted using self-reported exposure to pesticides during the mother's pregnancy. 4% of mothers reported that they had occupational exposure. 58% reported living near crops that use pesticides. 3% reported using pesticides for indoor plants. 13% reported exposure to insecticides. 17% reported exposure to using pesticides on their outdoor plants. Researchers found that 95% of the mothers exposed to the pesticides had children born with lower birth weight than mothers who were not exposed to pesticides. The information about diabetes was taken from Evangelou's research. Evangelou and fellow researchers conducted a comprehensive and systemic review of the literature on the correlation, if any, between diabetes and exposure to pesticides. Evangelou described that pesticides commonly used in foods, such as organochlorine, can increase insulin resistance, leaving the human body vulnerable and at higher risk of developing diabetes. Of the studies, 22 were found that supported a correlation between pesticides and diabetes. What they discovered and concluded was that there was evidence supporting a correlation between organochlorine pesticides and type 2 diabetes. In conclusion, pesticides are growing in popularity around the world, and many people do not understand the harm that comes with their use. Not only is there an issue with the actual use of pesticides, but that of the labeling of them. Consumers are not being told what is exactly in the bottle or spray that they are buying, let alone the dangers that come with each use. There are even needs to be more research conducted on pesticides and their link to diabetes. Pesticides are going to continue to be used in today and for our foreseeable future, and we must understand their dangers before more people are hurt.